So we're going to move on to our next lab demonstration. It's going to be with Dr. William Cross, the SI joint fusion techniques using a principles-based approach.
All right, I can take it away.
Yes, go for it.
All right, sounds good. So we'll start off. So the patient's prone, the head is to my left, legs are to the right. And so the way I start this off is, so I have not templated this case, so we're just doing basic fluoro inlets and outlets, but I don't have that CT scan that I showed at the beginning of my talk. But so with that being said, I'll start off with that fluoro. So this is the PSIS. So I do a circle on PSIS. This is the back of the femur, so I extrapolate mid-shaft of the femur, and I draw a line connecting those two. This gets divided into thirds, and my typical starting point is usually around here. And the reason I do this is because if this is the PSIS, this is an outline of the ilium. So up here is the belly, which is a no zone, and down here is the greater sciatic notch, which is a no zone. So this is a pretty safe area to kind of put your pin to start off with in the prone position. So I start off with a small pin, and I kind of poke this in here. I don't use the big pin yet because if I need to kind of go in and out, I don't want to hurt or injure any local soft tissue. So I'll go in about halfway, and then I'll check an outlet view. So I'll take a shot here. Outlet view, as a reminder, is having the symphysis overlying S2. Just because of the table setup, we can't quite get high enough on there, but I'm going to extrapolate that we look pretty good there. I can see the border of the S1 foramen, and I'm looking like my trajectory is pretty good here. So we're going to switch to the inlet view now to go anterior and posterior. This view, the outlet view, is for cranial caudal orientation. So once I get my trajectory perfect with this pin, then I'll switch to the other pin. So here, so you can see I'm more posterior, so I need to translate anterior. So in line with my outlet view, I'm gonna make a shift to go anterior, which is gonna be this way. And now we're just gonna shot there. Okay, I'm gonna go just a little bit more and aim posterior. I'm gonna go in, aim posterior, and I'm on bone, shot there. Okay, I'm gonna aim more posterior, shot there. So we're looking pretty good. So I know I'm pretty good. Let's go to the other view. So now I'm going to make a small little incision, usually about 1 or 2 centimeters, right below that pin. Okay, now I take the 3-2 guide pin for the set, and I use this step. I usually say kiss the tip. So I'm going to right down there and touch the tip of the other one. And now I'm going to go ahead and do fine tuning. Okay, let's take a shot there. And I'm gonna aim a little cranial, shot there. Okay, so I'm looking pretty good to end right in the middle of the vertebral body of that upper sacral segment. Now I'm gonna check the other view. Those inlets and outlets are the workhorses. Okay, and we're looking pretty good there. That looks great. So I'm gonna aim a little bit posterior, and I usually do a little tap, tap, tap to cap in the periosteum. And then I use the pin driver on oscillate. Always oscillate so you don't bind up any of the soft tissues. And then I oscillate 1 centimeter, and now I'll start checking your views again. Shot. Okay, I'm gonna mill it a little bit anterior, shot there. Okay, now I'm gonna shift the drill so that it aims at my beam as a mental crutch on which way to move my drill now. All right, go to the outlet view. Never let go of your pin. You're always holding it. And we're looking pretty good there. So I'm going to advance across the SI joint, and I'm going to go shot there. I think I'm trending a little bit cranial, so I'm going to back it out, and I'm going to mill it and go a little bit caudal. Shot there. Okay, shot there. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to go right above S1 and right below where L5 is coming over the brim. Now let's go to the other view. I'm going to shift my drill to aim at the beam. Hopefully I'm going directly midline on this view. Okay, there we go. So we're looking good. We're gonna be behind that border. So I kind of go in and out of the drill and I sound it out. Shot there. Shot there. Okay, so I don't like to cross midline because if I do bilaterals, I want to maximize my distance on both. Okay, let's go to the other view. Well, I usually save that X-ray and then, all right, take 11 blade now. Well, this blade, the reason I can only do a small incision because I don't know if my incision is going to be more there or more down. So now I'm just going to kind of aggressively make about a 5 to 6 centimeter incision just in the skin. Then I take this I go right down there. I don't do any cutting. I'm simply just slicing the fascia right on the pin all the way down to ilium. I'm on ilium. Take it straight out. Then I think this step helps minimize glute cramping. But I put my finger right in that fascial rent. I go right down the ilium and I clean out the fascia, and I go right, put my finger right on the iliac wing, and I kind of just spread out and detach some of the gluteus medius and minimus from the lateral ilium. So it's right on bone, okay? After that step, I'll measure. So in this particular case, we're measuring a 75. So I'll take a 75 by 12. Now, if I templated that safe area there to be 15 millimeters or more of space between S1 and the top where L5 is, I'll put a 12 millimeter implant in. If it's less, then I'll go to a 10. If it's even smaller, or I'm going underneath a pedicle screw that's in S1, we have an 8 millimeter that can go there. So we dilate up, dilate up, dilate up. And then this one goes on the top, and these tines there just gently go into the ilium to lock everything in. So we just put that right on the iliac wing, and we just do some gentle taps. Okay, now that has locked into the ilium. It's not gonna move. We don't want it to move, and I want that pin to be right in the middle, which it is. So now I'm gonna take a 3.2 millimeter stabilization pin, and I'm gonna go right here, and I'm just gonna go on reverse, not to bind up soft tissues, and then I go on forward. Okay, one more pin. Okay, now this working portal goes in, and this is where you're gonna really help control the distance, because I wanna be able to decorticate and completely take out the SI joint and really scrape out kind of any arthritis and articular cartilage in that area. So I'm gonna use a 12 millimeter drill, so like any cannulated system, I'm gonna pre-drill. This particular pre-drill is a 7.5. So right down there, so I'm feeling the SI joint, so shoot right there. So now I'm up against the border of the SI joint. I'm gonna go in across the SI joint. Okay, I can feel the other side. Now I'm gonna go swallow up the pin. Shot, shot, shot. Okay, so we swallowed it up there. The pin's gonna come out. And I'm gonna put another pin in its place. And now we're gonna drill down to the SI joint with a 12 millimeter drill bit. And this is what is gonna help kind of create the fusion zone. And this is also where I'm gonna set my depth. I'm gonna, all based on tactile feedback and fluoroscopic feedback, I'm gonna go right to the SI joint. So that's lateral ilium. There, that's SI joint, I just hit it, shoot. So that's the side of the SI joint. So now I'm gonna take this guide and go to the laser line, and that's gonna tell me where the lateral border of the SI joint is. Then I'm gonna go across the SI joint. I just crossed it, just a little bit of a zip, and then I'm on the other side. So now I'm gonna go just inside that black line. So now I'm gonna go a little farther and get bone graft. Okay, so as this comes out, this is all bone graft or autograft from the ilium that we're gonna recycle and inject into the fusion zone as part of an autografting technique. Now, this is the decorticator instrument. As you deploy this, this goes out and out and out, and as you go around and around, it scrapes out that SI joint from the inside and gets rid of all that cartilage and arthritis in this fusion zone. So let's take a picture there. So you can see that the cutout is where my blade diameter is. I'm gonna go in another couple millimeters. Shot there.
So I just want to point out to the audience, I think one of the advantages of this is that you're working basically perpendicular to the joint. So, this gives you the latitude to sort of swing that thing, circumferentially to ream out the stuff in there.
Thank you. Yep, I thank you for pointing that out, because there's also, as a biomechanical advantage, if you're perpendicular to the surface and you provide compression across it, it avoids a shear effect. Where if you have a joint that's in this angle, but you go across it like this and you compress it, you could create a subtle shearing effect. So we really want to compress it in line, which is the most biomechanically favorable to kind of get that tongue and groove to perfectly articulate, go back to where the patient's normal anatomy should be, and it'll compress into that native position. So then as we're doing this, based on templating, we can figure out how far we're gonna go out. This guide will tell you how far you're decorticating out. Right now, we're about 30 millimeters of maximal diameter, up to 40 total. Let's do a shot there. You can see us going down the SI joint, and then as we go the other way, shoot here, we're going up the SI joint. So on templating, we can find out how far we want to decorticate without coming out anteriorly or posteriorly. So I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to do a kind of a hemilunar just caudally, because I don't want to come out the top. Okay, so here we are all the way out. Let's do a shot there. So all the way out in the bottom, so right down the SI joint. So what I'll oftentimes do now is retract it, and then using this length guide, I'll sometimes come 5 millimeters out or 5 millimeters in to increase the depth of my SI joint fusion zone for bone graft. So just for the sake of time, I'll not do that for this test. And then here, as you pull this back out, then you'll see strips of cartilage and also bone graft in here that you can recycle as part of the autografting technique. So now what we do is we're going to irrigate all of the contents of the fusion zone. So we put the irrigator in there. I plug the suction device, put the suction or the irrigant in here, and squirt it out into the SI joint, and then it comes out, and we collect it into this basin. So I've got to pull out here. You'll see some graft come out here. All that is the decorticated bone that we just kind of ripped out of the SI joint. And usually just by convention, I always just use 2. Okay, so we've kind of cleaned out that SI joint. Now, we open up our suction device, and my residents tell me this is like when we pan for gold. So we're taking this out there, and then we're usually left with a fair amount of graft in here that we can recycle to kind of put back in the patient. Okay? And then I go down here, and I clear out all of the debris from the fusion zone. And usually we're left with a nice little radiolucency. Let's do a shot there. Shot again. Okay, so there's a nice little lucency in there from that decortication. So now we'll take some bone graft. So this is the bone grafting step. So this is a bidirectional bone graft application. So I'm just going to squirt out just a little bit to show you what this looks like. But as I inject this into the SI joint, it's going to kind of come out the sides, just like that. Okay, so we're going to push that into the SI joint. Let's do a shot here, please. Okay. Now, can you do live fluoro on the machine? All right, watch as it deploys. So it's going to fill that whole area up with bone graft. So that's all the autograft in that large fusion zone. Okay, off. Now we take that back out. We're going to put our 3-2 guide pin back in. If you can't get it, we usually put it in that first dilator, which puts us directly center. Push the pin in, and ideally, if nothing's changed, that should go exactly into the hole that you drilled. And if it's not going in there, check all of your imaging again to make sure you're still safe. Let's take a picture there. Okay, we're safe there. So now we take out the inner core. We're ready to put the implant in. Usually has a big clot on it. And now we're going to take a wire driver that's empty, so I can pull out my stabilization pins. I'm going to take one pin back here. And then the whole drill bit back here. Okay, and now we take the implant. So this is the implant right here with bone graft all in the fenestrations here. We'll put that over here. And now to make sure I don't drive the pin in, I take a shot about every couple centimeters. Picture there, please. Shot there. Shot. Okay, now I'm going to kind of wiggle, pull this guide out. And I put my finger underneath the washer. Take the drill. Now I'm feeling it go down on bone. So now it's flush on the ilium right there. So now, we didn't practice this view yet. Let's see if we can get it. We're going to come to an AP view. We're going to roll back about 20 or 30 degrees. So what we're doing now is looking down that PSIS, and we're going to be able to see if that washer's flush on the lateral ilium. This is that view that I also showed in my lecture where we're compressing that SI joint. So I really like this step because you can actually watch that dynamically. Good, this looks pretty good. So that's that flat border is the wall there. So as I'm gonna do a little quarter turn shot there. So you see it compressing down there, and now we're gonna go another couple turns, shot there. See, it's still seeding and still moving. So I'm gonna go get greedy and do another couple turns. Shot there. Okay, now it stops. We're kind of riding that line. So now I'm gonna take this out. We're gonna put in an anti-rotation screw to really help lock it in with the inlet view. I usually, if I can, put 2 screws in, although with compression, I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but I like to put 2 on there. Yeah, this way. Yep. I like to put 2 on there just to kind of be safe. I always call it a little bit of an insurance policy. All right, so guide pin. So if I'm directly below my implant on the inlet view, I should not be able to see this on my inlet view. It should be hidden beneath my primary implant. Shot there? And that looks pretty good there. I'm a little bit anterior, so I'm okay. Shot there? Okay, let's go to the outlet view. So now, wire driver empty. I'm gonna put it in just about a centimeter so to lock it in, but is it a smaller collet? And this one is typically aiming right at the S1 frame, and so you don't wanna put it in very far. So take a shot there. Good, so we're gonna go, it actually looks like it might go below the framing, but nevertheless, I'm gonna stop short of that S1 framing. Get on, oscillate, shot there. Shot there. Okay, shot there. Okay, so we're looking good there, so that's where the anti-rotation screw is gonna go. So I take everything out, we measure, then I'll take the drill next. Okay, on ilium, and I'm measuring a 35. So we'll do a 35. And so this is just the pre-drill for the other one. I just punch the outer cortex, and I don't want to plunge. Okay, and then sometimes the drill pulls it out. So just out of habit, I lock this in there and pull the drill out here so I don't want to lose my pin position. And if the pin is staying in there, fortunately, so I'll lock it in there. And then we're going to put our 35 millimeter anti-rotation screw. This is just a 6.5 millimeter, just a random screw to provide that anti-rotation support. There's just a neutralization. There's no compression associated with it. So as this kind of goes in, reverse to clear the soft tissues, and then I go in a little bit. Shot there. This will occasionally drive the pin in, so usually I won't be quite that aggressive. Shot there. Okay, now I'm going to switch to hand. I'm going to pull that pin out just a little bit.
So what's the width of that second screw that you just put in?
6.5.
And how about the proximal and distal width of the first screw?
The primary implant on this particular patient, we put in a 12. And so it's a 12 millimeter outer diameter, 7.5 inner diameter. Shot. Good, so that's our kind of our final construct there. Let's go to the other view. All right, and there's the inlet view. So you can't see the anti-rotation screw, so you know that it's directly below that implant in a safe position. So that's kind of the SI fusion construct. So, all right, yeah. Anybody have any questions I can answer about the procedure? So the inlet view.
Any questions, anyone? Maybe I have a question, I guess. Do you ever put anything other than the autograft inside the bone chamber?
So yeah, so I'm still experimenting, trying to find that perfect concoction. So right now I'm doing just the autograft and whatever we have sort of on contract for a bone graft extender. So I've been looking at some different brands and some different constructs, but usually something that's osteoconductive, and then sometimes something osteoinductive to help support the autograft, because the autograft harvest is somewhat variable between patients. Like a little surprised that we got a lot out here, but sometimes very osteopenic patients, it can be just a little bit of autograft, and you have to supplement it with more of the bone graft substitute.
Cool.
All right, I want to thank you to my team right here. So outstanding job from Mark the fellow, so thanks.
Thanks very much.
Right. Thanks. Awesome, man.
So yeah, next item on the agenda is